We are today with the man of the hour, the man whose words made me realize that I'm in the business of speaking instead of doing my passion, trying to change people's lives. David, thank you so much for being with me to tell us about the speaking industry.
Hey, friend. It's nice to see you. We are on different sides of the pond, speaking around the world. Actually, I just got off a flight a day ago from spending a week presentations in Dubai and was in Europe a couple of weeks before that. So that's one of the best things about these kinds of conversations is we can talk to our friends and colleagues around the world and share some wisdom and some good conversation.
Wisdom and good conversation. I expect nothing less from you, Mr. The ridiculously easy to work with. Okay. You have 5 children, right?
We have five that I know of. You just never know.
Let's talk
No,
about that,
three,
Mr. Speaker.
three of mine and two of my wife's, and we brought them together for a beautiful family. And yeah, we got five kids that are grown and gone. Doesn't mean they're off the payroll, but at least they're out of the house. And but it also affords us, as a speaker, and you and I both do this for a living. It affords me the opportunity now as an empty nester to when I travel is not only to do good work with my clients, but come a little earlier, really engage with the attendees, attend the dinner afterwards. And then I've wanted to really make some time to break bread with friends and colleagues. You and I saw each other just this last year in Barcelona, and a great opportunity for, as we know, sometimes the conversations in the hallways between the sessions bring the most value.
Not in that case. Your speech brought the most value. And I
You're
saw that same
kind to
speech.
say.
You gave a similar speech to PSA UK like 6 months before that. And I'm like, who is this guy? Because this guy, you says it like a good old direct German that I appreciate so much. Like, this is the way it is. This is where you find the clients. This is a business, people. Stop pretending like we're just doing our hobbies and that we're on a mission to, right? Like,
Right.
this is a
Well,
business.
I think one of the challenges of people who speak for a living, and then there's a lot of other people who speak as part of their business, they're not necessarily doing it for a living. I think there's just a lot of erroneous information as to what
Mm,
this business is. And I think in most cases, it's very well meant. I think we're a very nurturing and encouraging community. I mean, we have a community of teachers and communicators and inspirers, but there's some nonsense that really has nothing to do with. And I think in many cases it gets in the way of actually earning a living or earning
mm,
income. And it's
mm,
some of the crazy nonsense. And you mentioned it a little bit in your promotion, is that I still hear speakers all the time and good people, smart people saying, listen, if you make a difference in the life of just one person, then it was worth it. And I'm like, you make a difference in life of one person, you're a bad speaker. You're really bad at this, because we have an audience of 600-700 people and we've impacted one person. You're fired. You're fired from any job. But I understand where it comes from. I mean,
yeah.
people are trying to be encouraging, but this is a tough business. And as you had sort of alluded to in the presentation I did recently, where we were together in Barcelona, was the title of the presentation. It was custom for our friends and colleagues, was the idea that speaking is not a business. Getting the gig is the business.
Mm,
Speaking is
mm,
the performance. It's the
mm,
presentation. It's the sharing of knowledge and wisdom and inspiration or whatever your subject might be. But this is a business. And I
mm.
still hear people all the time who come to me and say, they want to get on the speaking circuit. I'm like, there is no circuit. There, there is no, like get one gig and then all of a sudden you got 30. There are gigs and there are
Mm,
clients. And just
mm,
like any job for anybody who's listening or watching this, you get up in the morning and you work and you market and you hone your craft and you make sure that you're visible and you've got
mm,
systems and processes. And so that's what we do. And so I'm kind of in this place because I'm older and I'm here in my third act and business is great, but I really want to help others avoid a lot of the mistakes that I made early on,
mm.
to help us, do better in this business.
So thank you. You helped me when I was like that a year and a half ago. It was like just the time when I was like still disillusional, and I was just like, I do this because it's a job. I
Yeah.
volunteer as a clown because that's fun and that's about changing lives. But like, I need to pay my rent. So how do I do that, brother? So thank you for the
Yeah.
10x. You gave
Yeah.
me a really good suggestion there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's, one of the things we like to say about newer speakers, and just because somebody's, to be clear, somebody, sorry, a little bit of a cough. Just because somebody's a newer speaker doesn't mean they're new in the world. There are newer speakers who are 70 years old, but we affectionately call newer speakers ignorance on fire. They don't quite know what they're doing, but they're so excited about doing it. And part of my thing is just to make sure that the right voices and the right guidance and mentoring is from people who've actually have successful business, not for people who, we have an interesting profession. And I think we have the only profession where most people get into this work because they're encouraged by somebody who has no idea what it is. Right? Because but their friends and colleagues are like, oh my gosh, you should be a motivational speaker. Like, you could really impact people's lives. You could really inspire people. And that thing where you were climbing that mountain and you fell into that crevasse and you hurt your leg, and like you could really inspire people. And that's so antithetical to like earning a living and paying your bills. Yeah, you can. I mean, there's people you can inspire, but who's going to be in your audience, and how are you going to market them, and who's going to pay you, and what are they going to pay? And so that's just sort of the business of it. And you've been really good about sort of immersing yourself around the world into what this is. And so these kind of conversations for me are a lot of fun.
Yeah. And honestly, I just got paid for my first motivational speech. Everything else has been getting seen, heard, doing stuff for free, paying for everything by myself. And I just got paid, and I got paid in Spanish. So I was just like, oh, wow. And then I did a TEDx talk the week before, right?
Yeah.
So like ignorance on fire, and a lot of freaking hard work for 4 years straight, right?
It is.
Oh my
but
God.
Every speaker who's a professional on every level had a first paying gig. Every one of them. Nobody gets.
Do you remember yours?
Pardon me?
Do you remember yours?
I do remember mine. I spoke to a healthcare, and I had spoken many times for free, or had served on panels, or been asked to come in and present for an organ. I didn't even know this was a business. I had been PR director at Children's Hospital in Denver, Colorado, and I was asked to come and present every once in a while. I didn't know you could get paid for it. And then I
work for a sandwich, right?
Yeah. It was part of my job. I already had a job, and so I was invited in. But then I got invited, and I found a community of others who did this. But I got $500 to speak to a state conference of healthcare communicators up in Vail, Colorado. And I thought that was great, somebody, but in my mind, it was still this sort of trading time for money. And I thought $500 for an hour. And then you realize, like, and people will say to me, and I remember one of my early mentors, Eric Chester, I remember saying to him early on, I said, wait a minute, you make how much money for an hour to just talk? And his answer is what my answer is today when people say that to me. He looks at me and he says, that's absolutely, and he had a good fee. And he says, it's absolutely true. He says, but David, I don't do it every hour. Right? We may work, I may work 60 hours in a week. I've given as we record this right now, we're over the holidays. I gave my entire team the holidays off for Christmas, but I'm working because this feeds my family and feeds my employees. And so, because my clock's messed up in my head from my trip to Dubai, I was up at 2:00 in the morning, but I get to my office and I work because it's my job and it feeds my family. And I may work a week, I may work 2 weeks to get one gig.
Yeah.
And that gig may pay very well, but I remember my son, who's now 21, when he was younger, he used to always say, Dad, you're the boss. You can take off anytime you want. You can take a vacation day any day. I said, you're right, buddy, I can. And I don't get paid. Right? So it's interesting. We don't get paychecks in this business. We get checks, we get transfers, but we don't get paychecks.
Interesting. Well, do you know Lenny?
I don't know. Hey, Lenny.
He started speaking at 65, around that age, and now he's 89. So he's my mentor because he does Gestalt therapy and humor, so optimism. And we were talking last week, and he just said, it's a choice. Like, laughter is a choice. And relating this to the business of speaking, and okay, so we have to get the gig true, but if we can focus on like
now, good too. Yeah.
Performance now. So you put humor in there. Your slides have some humor in it. You have that jovial
always, yeah.
Santa beard. You have that value. And I'm just curious if you think that that's going to be something that's really, really needed as people get low attention span more, or if you can survive in this industry without humor. And you've seen people without humor, but
Absolutely.
they're really, really smart. So what's going to be the
Well,
future of
it's a great question. First of all, it's not new. Humor, think about it in terms of our own interpersonal communication. Humor just keeps it lighthearted, can help soften tough messages. And we do that in our regular life. My whole approach on stage and my consulting work with clients is profound authenticity. And it's not because I'm really conscious of being, I'm just me. And you know me, and I'm the same guy on stage as I am off stage. And so part of that helps, when some people are very nervous about getting on stage because they think there's a persona that they have to present. I'm just me. I think I'm a good guy, I mean, I'm a smart guy, but I'm the same guy on stage and off. So I'm humorous in my life. I'm humorous on stage, and my humor tends to take the form of irreverence. I mean, I don't tell jokes on stage. I make fun of things, or I'll do scenarios that, mocking, trying to reach a real person, on the phone, customer service. And so I'll mock that kind of thing, saying, represent, agent. I think you said no, right, and that's funny just because we can all relate to it. So that's sort of the nature of my humor. Or we'll talk about behaviors that people do, that more observational kind of humor. But I am conscious of making sure that my presentations have a measure of entertainment value. I'm not singing and dancing, but nobody wants to be yelled at for an hour. I use humor strategically to temper a tough message about what it takes to compete and win in business. So, excuse me, my broad subject is customer experience, and so there is no. Hang on a minute. Just a spasm. This 3 months for the stupid cough. Because there's so many scenarios we can relate to. That's where it's in stories. And so back to your question, which was, do you think it's more so because the short attention span? I think it's probably more important, but I think it's always been there. I don't think there is a dichotomy between people who are super smart and they can get away with just content. I think everybody needs to be real. Now, then again, and you'll see this as your career grows, we'll do conferences where sometimes we're the only outside voice. It's a lot of industry people. So I would do a big dental conference and nobody's funny. I mean, they're dentists, right? They're talking about new procedures, and it's really dry and it's really scientific. In Dubai this last week, I spoke for a massive audience, about 1,200 Indian, from the country of India, Indian certified accountants, not known for their liveliness and humor. Their speakers were the same, but you know what? I was, because I do me. And so the guy who's mentoring you, for example, he didn't become funny at 65. If he's got humor, he's got a lifetime of wisdom and experiences that he gleans from. He just chooses now to share it with others in a different capacity. Sometimes those are the best speakers, not somebody who's 23 who says, I want to be a life coach. I'm like, dude, you haven't lived life yet, right? The people who are seasoned in life, and they may think of themselves as a new speaker. Like, you're not a new speaker. You're just taking your wisdom and you're sharing it in a different way. And I think that's really, really admirable.
So at the GSS, you missed it, was a little bit far away. We had Tim Gard fly over for the closing keynote, and fly out 3 hours later. So he went all the way to Bali for really an hour to talk to us. It was phenomenal.
And brutal. Travel like that is brutal. Yeah. Tim's amazing. Yeah.
And his wife came. I'd be like, that you're on your own for that one, hun bun. Anyway. So at the GSS, there's a lot of people that weren't using a lot of humor, and I was blown away because I thought, man, with ChatGPT, with YouTube, with the young influencers on TikTok, we have to be at the top of our game, engaging, lights, some kind of music that wakes the soul up. We have to be asking questions, engagement, and by I was quite shocked, and I thought, "Uh-oh, what do they know that I don't know, or do I know something that they don't know? Are
Now,
people not utilizing engagement techniques?
yeah,
They're
I'm
doing
going to
modeling."
challenge your assumption. When you said
Yeah.
we're at this time, we need to be doing this and this, we don't.
No?
I do. You
Mm,
might. But that's
mhm.
what kind of makes this sort of a rich tapestry. I don't see a lot of German speakers who are particularly funny and engaging. It's just not the culture, right? And
No.
so I think there are so many ways, Jessica, to do this right.
Mm.
I've seen people who are very professorial, very very scholarly.
Yeah.
They're sharing a lot of research. There's other people. Their whole subject matter is the art of storytelling.
Mhm.
And I think when somebody tries to be what they think the marketplace wants, I think it
Yeah.
comes across as fakey. And so I am now. Granted, I'm a student of the craft. I study what other people do. I've been doing this my 25th year, so I know what
Mm.
resonates and what doesn't. I'm not new at this, but I've made a decision that I'm going to be me. Now I'm going to do. There's certain things I won't do on stage because it doesn't work, right? I'm not always the. I mean, we can all have a side of ourselves that's maybe a little more impatient or a little more judgmental, and I don't share that kind of thing. It doesn't serve me in my business, but I challenge the assumption we don't have to be music, and we do it. But the people who do it and do it well, and it's natural for them, they,
Mm.
they kill it. But the people
Ah,
who try to be what they think, I think I need to do more of this because I liked how that person did it. If it's
yeah,
not you, it's
yeah.
going to be forced. If it is you, and you
Mm.
just realize that you need to kind of step up
Mm.
your game, then that just makes you better. I mean, I was up at 2 a.m. because my clock is messed up, and I was just typing on my phone because I'm trying to come up with a new opening story because I've
Ah,
told the one I have for a little bit too long, and this is sort of downtime in the holidays. And I thought I'm going to craft a new
mm.
story, and then the epiphany hit me in the middle of the night. But the story I will tell is a story that is me, and that I can tell, and that I have some
Mhm.
standing in it. But I think it's a big mistake when speakers. It's the same thing. Think about it in terms of subject matter, not just style. If somebody's saying what's hot, well, AI is hot right now. I'm going to go talk about AI. Do you have the right to talk about AI? Do you have standing to talk about AI? And
Mhm.
so, and I think those people, I think it's fleeting in terms of
Mm.
any kind of success that they have. And my
Mm.
advice to you is newer in this business is how do you talk to your friends um, at when you go out for drinks? How do you
Mm.
talk to family at Thanksgiving? How do
Mhm.
you what are the things that you laugh at
Yeah.
that that or your friend that you've had since you were a kid and you may not talk very often, but when you do, it's like time just melts away. That's Jessica. That's the
Mm.
Jessica that your friends love. Be that
Mm.
Jessica on stage.
So, so I love this because I kind of knew that's what I have to be, but then I live underneath Germany, and I was there this weekend,
Yeah.
and it's like they don't,
Don't be
you know,
German.
humor's hard in Germany because the verb is at the end, and usually jokes are made on verbs, right? And that's kind of why my uncles are
Yeah,
terrible.
that's one reason why it doesn't
That's
work.
one
The
reason.
other reason
There's
is just they're not
multiple.
they're not particularly funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice people. I've got great friends that are Germans. They're not particularly funny people.
So, but is the industry open to people that aren't funny? Like, will a
Of
serious,
course, of
yes, but
course, of
who
course. I hear them all the time. You just have to
really?
listen.
But
Here's one of the things I say to speakers: is you don't have to be great to make it in
okay,
this. You got to be good. You got to be
yeah,
good. I mean, but as long as your content is great,
yeah,
I don't sit in the audience and judge. I'm just like, give me value. Or somebody. I've seen people who I had lunch with a colleague in Dubai a couple of days ago, and he's not particularly funny, but he's got all this great research and he's a futurist, and here's what things are going to happen, and this is going to be free, and this is what I'm riveted to that. I don't need him to be funny, and I don't need him to be entertaining. Don't bore me. And so, no, I don't think there's any. I think the only rule is you got to be good and you have to provide value. Those are your two rules. Now, how you do that,
yeah,
like in business, you have to make a profit,
yeah,
or you're out of business. Now, how you make a profit is different. Microsoft does it very different than Ben
yeah,
and Jerry's ice cream does it. For
mhm,
speakers, two rules: be good,
Yeah.
And provide value. But some of the nonsense, and I talked about this when you say GSS, for those listening, that was the Global Speakers Summit. I spoke main stage for the National Speakers Association in America this year. And one of the things I talked about and I kind of called out, I did a little fun little game show, sort of truth or nonsense. And here, I'll give you an example. Like the way our industry treats the brilliant women who speak and share, I think is shameful, because they focus on, and they make you focus on, and this is a father of daughters, make you focus on things that don't matter. If I hear one more time people say you can't wear like earrings or bracelets because they're distracting to the audience, utter nonsense. Jessica, nobody cares. They don't. You know who cares? Wardrobe consultants who try and charge speakers. Nobody cares. Wear whatever you want. I mean, don't be a clown, and don't be, but be professional for whatever your subject is. Be yourself and be good. But they so much talk about women, what they should wear and what they can. Nobody cares. I mean, be conscious of it, but we're focusing on the wrong things. Focusing on the wrong things, and I just think we treat women in our profession very poorly.
Well, as I just started a few years ago, I'm like, I got to get famous or popular before I get old, because I think half of, well, this is just cynical, I suppose, but I'm like, half of me getting hired is because I'm a younger, fairly normal looking, average, attractive woman. And I'm not bad to look on stage, but if I'm like 65, 70, whereas a 70-year-old man is like this expert in the field, I'm now like going to be replaced. And I don't know if that's true or if that's just a scary thing.
And I'm going to give you my perspective. It's whatever measure of truth is pales in comparison to having a relevant subject that somebody wants to hire. They don't care. I mean, the fact that you look nice is great. What they really want is they want somebody who can bring value to the organization. You got to understand, they're not making decisions in a vacuum. Say they have a conference coming up. We're bringing together all our sales leaders. What do you think the most important thing for them is? They want to increase their sales. They want to make sure that their people get new perspective and new skills. They don't care about your age. They don't care about what you're wearing, unless it's overly distracting to the negative. It doesn't matter. And so, even in your mind, you're thinking, "Oh, I got to do this before I'm 70." You know what you should be thinking about? What value can I provide? What problem do I solve? And can I get video of me delivering it so they can get a sample of what I do? But there's far too much conversation, and generally it's on people who are not successful in this business, who try to give advice to other speakers that have nothing to do with why we get hired.
Okay.
And I am on a crusade, and because I'm old, I can do it. I don't care who I offend, because I really want to help. I really want to help. We spend so much time worrying about coaching things, advising people on things that don't impact whether you get hired.
Okay. So there's a guy, Yanni, from Israel in the Global Speakers Summit, and he did some research, and I'm sure the research is out there, but he found that really only 11% of people in the audience, event planners, are looking for like content. A lot of the percentage is looking for entertainment. Like they might have had a magician the year before. And I'm just wondering how you see the roles of us as entertainers as well.
Yeah, who was the guy?
Yaniv from
Okay. Is he a speaker, or is he like a meeting planner?
No, he interviewed meeting planners.
Oh, I got it. Okay, so he's right, but it's irrelevant, and I'll tell you why. This will make sense. I don't care what else is at the conference where I'm speaking. So say a meeting planner or speakers bureau is being asked to do a conference for a giant real estate company. They may want a comedian, they want a magician, or they want somebody else. I don't care. I just want the speaking slot. So what else they have, it doesn't mean they want one person to do all of those things. They have multiple speakers at the event who do different things. So I don't think his insights are relevant to speakers. Now, granted, they don't want speakers to be boring. Be very clear on that. They want it to be engaging, great content, entertaining if it makes sense. They don't want want to bore their audience, right? They may have, the meeting planner may have this meeting once a year, right? And the meeting cannot suck. So they have lots of speakers to choose from, and they're going to choose speakers. And when they look at your speaker reel, who's entertaining, who's engaging, but it doesn't mean comedy and it doesn't mean magicians, but they're also asked to look for magicians and things like that all the time. I'm not competing against those. I'm in a different slot.
But is the key, because I'm in a different slot than you, because you're an industry expert on that, whereas I'm a corporate trainer on adaptability intelligence and teams that work well together and collaborate.
Yeah, we're both content speakers, and we have a specific slot. You're not competing against the magician. They're not going to say, should we have a magician or Jessica to teach us how to work with teams? They're going to do both.
But then what's the role of like the motivational speaker that comes in, like in that role? Is it not like Tim Gard does a lot of humor?
Yes.
Hilarious. His content is there. I would say, and I love him, I want him to mentor me. I want to marry him if he was, but he's very entertaining.
Correct. So the role of the motivational speaker is shrinking because meeting planners are being asked more and more ROI. We need return on investment, give us practical skills. Tim Gard is one of the best in the world. Yeah. There are conferences who won't hire that slot anymore because they've gotten pushback, right? We had an entertainer, we had a former Olympic athlete who tells us the same stuff that they all, do about motivation and setting goals and all this stuff. And I have great respect because I haven't accomplished those things. But what I'm hearing from meeting planners constantly is we have to justify every speaking slot. So the good news for somebody like Tim Gard, because he's so good, is there are fewer opportunities, but he'll win more of them because he's one of the best there is, right? And a great guy. But whereas 15, 20 years ago was the age, you would have multiple motivational speakers at the same conference. You don't anymore. So in my mind, there's different slots. I'm not competing against comedians. And I make it very clear when I talk to meeting planners that I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a high content speaker, actionable ROI. I'm very entertaining. I'm very funny, but I'm a business speaker.
Okay, because I was copying David Friedman. Scott Friedman. You're David.
Yeah.
So
but most
Scott call themselves motivational speakers, humorists. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. But
that's his slot. But understand that most conferences where I speak, there's 20 speakers, maybe 3 of them on the main stage, and the rest of them are doing breakouts or training. So I'm one of many speakers at most conferences. Oftentimes, I'm the only outside the industry voice. My job is to bring perspective from globally and from other industries. But most conferences are not looking for a speaker. They're looking for multiple speakers. And I want one of those slots. So you don't need to be one of them. Just pick your niche, be really good at it, and market the hell out of it.
Okay.
For the things that you train on, you're not competing against against Tim Gard. Thank God I'm not competing against Tim Gard.
We're not, right?
I think I'm really good, but Tim Gard is world class, and but he's on a different slot. So a lot of my colleagues will be at the same conference because we're doing different things.
See, because I get a little bit insecure because I applied to the Global Speaker Summit 5 times. Mike Hancock, I guess they didn't pick me. And then he goes, hey, we still have a couple slots for humor speaker. And I'm like, brother, that's all I got, right? So I know that humor is a big quality that I have. And so I feel a little bit insecure being like, I'm a very good content deliverer because I focus more on the humor because I thought that would get me hired more. But you're saying that's
what's going to get you hired is value. 100%.
100%.
If they think, they look at your stuff and go, we need that. Like for me, my new book, and my branding is all over the place behind me, ridiculously easy to do business with. We've had really great success with it, and we got a lot of calls. And I got a call from a big country's largest landscape company yesterday, and I said, excuse me, right? I said, how'd you hear about me? And she says, somebody gave me a copy of your book, and I love the title, and it's exactly what we want. And then we start talking about the organization and some of the friction, and we want to be ridiculously easy. She wasn't because she thought I was funny, or no, I'm going to knock it out of the park for her. And she did go look at my preview video, but it was the content and the message that got her attention.
Gotcha.
Because there's a lot of people, Jessica, that are funny. I be funny. I'm funny on stage, but I don't present myself as a humorist.
No. Do you not suggest that either to anyone?
And humor is a smaller paycheck. Say again?
Do you not recommend that to the newer speakers or the older ones? Like, the humor is not the selling point.
No, it's what makes them comfortable hiring you. The only selling point is the subject and value. That what problem do you solve? Companies pay to solve problems. They pay to alleviate pain. Now, how you do that gives you an advantage over somebody else. But that's the only thing that, unless they're looking for a pure entertainer, right? But then you're going against professional entertainers, right? Yeah. Or it depends on your pricing level. Jim Pancero, a colleague, had a great line. He says, you choose your fee. When you choose your fee, you choose your competition. Charge whatever you want. Doesn't mean, I mean, if you think, I think I'm this speaker, and then you look at who else is charging that's who you're competing against.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Cool. So, but no, unless you are a humorist and you want the humor slot, and generally a humor slot pays less. It's an entertainer.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
But it's so hard to be funny. So I can't believe it.
Okay. Yeah. But it's like if a company, if you say, I'm going to go there and help 10x your sales, that's worth a big check. Say, I'm going to make people laugh after dinner. It's a small check.
I'm just going to tickle them all.
Yeah.
Hire a bunch of midgets, right? And tickle them. Yeah. Okay. You have, as expected, woken me up.
Yeah. But listen, but I want to be encouraging, because once again, and I think you're one of those people that have, because you're so nice and that you've listened to so many voices. I think a lot of the voices are misleading people in our profession. Yeah. And generally they are, because that's what they coach, whether it's wardrobe consultants or whatever else. My whole thing is, I just want to help you get hired. Right. And so it's almost like, whatever you do on stage, as long as it's good and you provide value, I don't really care, but you have to get hired. Mm-hmm. And so what do meeting planners see on the front end? They see a title, they see a subject, they see, as a result of Jessica's profound and inspiring presentation, your people will be able to do A, B, C, better recognize D. Now I know what I'm paying for.
That's it.
Yeah. It's not, and it may be simple, but it's not easy. And that's why most speakers starve. And it's because they starve because they focus on things that don't get them gigs. Like whether or not they're wearing bracelets. Kill me, like literally kill me.
Okay, you wear a lot of bracelets just to make a point.
I wear
Some people say mention wear bracelets.
I would wear whatever I want to wear. The audience doesn't care. Who said the line that we'd worry much less about what our audience thinks about us if we realized how little they think about us?
Yeah, totally. Well, on this kind of closing note, I'm going to put this up here, because this woman, Louisa, she won the World Championship of Public Speaking this year, right? And all of us speaking coaches in the world, every one of my Toastmasters friends, we're all like, gestures, right? The body has to feel it. She was in a wheelchair, and she had very minimal gestures. Her humor was like bang on. She couldn't jump around like the other guy who got disqualified first day, right? And she just, it's like, you can break the rules because nobody cares that you're 63 in a wheelchair. Like, okay, not that they don't care. They care, but it is the message that touched all of us. We're all crying our heads off after she spoke, right? And she lives that, right? And so I really resonate with what you said.
Your big takeaway, see, you're looking at a more critical eye because you're part of the organization. You're like, what did it take to win? What do you think an audience? So say she did this for an audience, not in a competition. Say they're in a corporate meeting. What do you think they would take away? That she just was a brilliant storyteller, right? She had a brilliant message. Do you think anybody in a normal audience, not Toastmasters, would talk to each other about her hand gestures?
Only us nerds, right?
Just right. But that's what I'm saying is your audiences aren't industry professionals where we critique each other. They're just like, just be good.
Just be good. Okay, good enough.
But then it also just does is it takes the voice out of your head that I should be doing this and I should be doing this. No, you should be delivering content. and
Okay.
value and conversation. Don't think about the other stuff. That makes you distracted.
Ooh, dinner time. What is
Yeah,
that?
there
Your
you go.
pop toast? Your toast popping?
Or something. My wife.
Something. She's
But yeah, thank you for taking the
Thank you.
time. It's nice to see you. Nice to reconnect.
It's nice. Thank you for helping us in the industry. It means a lot that someone tells us the truth. And
Of
so
course.
I hope
We're all friends and colleagues, and we're all feeding our families. And anybody who's watching or listening, if you want to learn more about me and you can see how we do it on our end, just go to my website. It's just my name, davidavrin.com.
Thank you, davidavrin.com. I'll be seeing you around. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye.